sky for you. And the tears in my eyes are for you. Yes, I cry these tears for you.
It goes on and on and on, I'm here for you. It goes on and on and on, I live for you. It goes on and on and on, I'm here for you. It goes on and on, yeah. Hello everyone, we are back again with another video. My name is Julian and welcome to another video of Mind Ova Bank. I have a special guest here. This is my second video on this channel. The first one I did was some time ago, maybe like a month or two ago, with Danny. So I have another guest here who is going to be telling us and sharing a lot of good stuff, yes, knowledgeable stuff. So this is a highly anticipated video, but after some time of planning, we're finally able to make it happen. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. If you all did not watch the first video, please make sure you go do that. As I said, it's with Danny. That video, in the first at least like 15-20 minutes or so, I really break down the purpose of this channel and what this channel is about. I'm not gonna do that so much in this video because I would hope that those people watching or following either already watched or would go back to watch that first video, and if that's done or was done, then you'll kind of be able to get a better idea of what this channel is about. I'm not going to be doing that every single video, recapping like what this channel is about. So I will do like maybe like a quick little snapshot or brief summary of the channel. Quick couple of minutes to do that. But as I said, to really understand what this channel is about, make sure you go watch that first video. So with that said, I have my a good friend of mine here by the name of Lex. So he's going to be our special guest today. And just to quickly kind of recap, what this channel is about. Obviously, it's centered around mental health, okay? And the primary focus of this channel is not only to reduce the stigma of the conversation of mental health, but to offer some insight and helpful advice to those people who could use it, whether you've been through some struggles or life struggles, or you're just someone who could just use some or would be interested in hearing some good advice centered around mental health. So it's for everyone and anyone, because at the end of the day, we're all human. So regardless if you don't have mental health concerns or anything like that, it is all still helpful. So yeah, and this is not a channel where we're gonna be focused on the negative or the bad or anything like that. Certainly there may be periods where something like that comes about, but the primary focus is looking at those areas or helpful things that can help people move forward, okay? Like advice, like techniques, advice, tips that are going to help with those who are in distress, struggling, or as I said, just would like to hear a tip or two, okay? So yeah, that was my little quick recap. If you haven't watched the first video, please go do so, because that really breaks down everything in a lot more detail, and I don't want to be rambling too much, so yeah, so that'll be definitely helpful. So Now, let's jump right into it. So, as I said, my name is Julian, and we have
I'm Lex.
my good friend Lex here. All right, so I'm gonna start out with just getting to know Lex a little bit more, and from there we'll just carry on with the interview. So, I wanted to first and foremost thank you for making this time.
Hey.
Thank you for making this time. I really appreciate it. Without relationships with others, something like this would not be possible. So I'm very thankful for the relationships that I have with my friends and family. So yeah, with that said, could you tell us a little bit about you? So who is Lex? Could you tell me, the things that you're passionate about? What you're into? Like just kind of like a little introduction to who you are.
So my full name is Alexis Diaz. I'm 30 years old. A little bit about myself. I preach the word of God. I'm a man of God. I have an Instagram. If you guys want to follow my Instagram, it's Lex the Preacher 93. Okay. That's all that I preach. I preach about the word of God. I help those that are in need. As well, I could talk about a young age of mine when, I was going through my mental health things. And, at a young age, I seen a lot of things that, as a young man shouldn't see. I was 4 years old. For you guys get a better understanding of who I am. Mental health, I believe, is a big impact to happen in not just everyone, or not just women, but as also men. I believe that, me at a young age, I've been through mental health issues for maybe since I was like 4 years old. So going through all that, God has used me in a mighty way and to bring people closer for his kingdom and to help them. And I believe, what I'm passionate about is telling people about Jesus, and getting the word out there as well. I've been in sports my whole life at an age, I believe, 6-7 years old. Didn't have a first job until I was 20. So went to college for a year. I was going to do sports medicine, get sports training, for athletic training, for lifting and stuff like that. As well, as everything was going on in my young age, my younger years, it was just, I could say it was God, God all the time, because, God never left me. He was always by my side through everything I was going through, as my mental health, spiritually, emotionally, physically. So, I use as an outlet, I use going to the gym. I was playing sports my whole life, and the thing is that I was injured for so many things: my ankles, knees, hands, my shoulders. So cause of that, I couldn't, fulfill my dream, that I wanted to play professional sports and stuff. But God had another plan for me, the best plan for me. So that is me preaching his word, getting people closer to Jesus. I'm not just helping the people that I know, but the people I don't know as well. So I use my platform Instagram to get people get closer. So, more of, it's not my will anymore, it's more God's will. And I believe that, that's what drew us closer to have this interview. And I know God's gonna use us in a mighty way to help the audience understand, how to get to go through mental health issues and how to beat it and stuff like that. So it's a little bit about me. I'm not gonna go too much into it right now.
Yeah. So. Okay. All right. I got it. So it seems like throughout your childhood years, it seems like there was a big focus on education, sports, and and I think that when it comes to finding ourselves, getting out, exploring, trying new things is all important in those earlier years to kind of find, you know, who you are, you know what I mean? Or, you know, find out what it is that you're most passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, because I know that during our earlier years, childhood years, adolescent years, we might have like a few ideas of what we want to do or what we want to be.
Exactly.
And some of those things pan out, and then sometimes some of those ideas don't. You know what I mean? And that could be frustrating, but it's all part of the process, you know. And I think that, you know, trying a lot of things, different things, is a great thing, you know, because when we're younger, you know, we're trying to find out those things that we are interested in, those things we like, and there's no better way of doing that than to put yourself in a position where you're trying a lot of different things and new things, you know what I mean? Because you never know.
Exactly.
You know, things change over time. So
I feel like when we try to plan what we want to do for our future, and sometimes we'll get setbacks and stuff like that, and I believe when that happens, because God has a better plan for us. You know, when we plan our things, like, oh, for instance, I wanted to be a professional basketball player or something. So that didn't work out due to my injuries and stuff, and, you know, it didn't work out. But the thing is that that's not the end of the journey, and a lot of people got to understand that God always has the best plan for our life. And sometimes we'll go through trials, sometimes we'll go through tribulations, you know, sometimes we'll fail at certain things, but he can use that to better yourself and let you know that you could depend on him, and he will make a way in your life. And, you know, as spiritually, I always say this to people, that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. You know, no one can go through the Father except through Jesus. So why I'm saying this is because everything I went through my life, God was there for me. And remember, I wasn't always with God, but he was always with me. And the reason why I say that is because I never had a relationship with Jesus until I was like 23 years old. So, you know, at a young age, no one never came up to me and said, hey, let's go to church and, you know, look for God. You know, so I didn't have that type of, you know, I didn't have those type of people to be there to tell me those things.
Okay. So, being that you said that definitely something I want to tap into a bit more. So, when you were kind of breaking down, you know, your years of your adolescent years, I know you mentioned the age 20 because that was the age, I guess, or up until that age, you then found a job or had a job. So you were focused more on like school, sports, then you got this job. So, and then at 23, you saying that is when you first, you know, met or had a relationship with God.
Exactly.
So what we could do is, I want to kind of talk about like before and after, maybe even like the transition from, you know what I'm saying, like before that point to that point. Like, I want to know, you know, like the differences between the two and whatnot. So what we could do is, and I definitely want to tap into all areas of your life. So may that be spiritual, mental, physical. You know what I mean? I want to get a little bit of everything. So before this relationship that you had with God, so before the age of 23, so 22 and younger. Can you tell me a little bit about like your life, more so specifically, what were you thinking of during those years? I know that's you know, a lot of time. You know what I mean? I don't want to, you know, I don't want to go too deep into, you know, to just one thing, because I know we have a lot of things to talk about. But if you can kind of like briefly summarize, okay, before that relationship with God, like could you tell me like what was on your mind throughout those years? What were you doing? Well, you kind of broke that down a bit. So I guess, what was on your mind, like mentally? Like, what were you thinking of? Like, how were those years in your life? Like, were you good? Were you struggling? You know, and what could make this even better is, are there any significant points throughout that timeline that really stand out from the most, whether they be, you know, significant, good things, achievements, or, you know, bad things like crises where things got really tough and rough, like significant points throughout that timeline, so 22 and under, that really stand out to you, that describe, you know,
who I am.
Who you are and your overall health.
I believe at age 4, I remember, I don't know, I think I told you this before, but it's been a while, but when I was 4, my older brother passed away, you know, so I feel like when that age of 4 and up, that's when there was like a dramatic change, and I believe that that's where it started off when I was going through my mental health issues. You know, so I was 4 years old, and God allowed me to see certain things, but I believe he showed me certain things because he wanted me to see and be aware of, you know, who I am and stuff like that. But I didn't understand because I was so young.
Yeah.
So my brother passed when I was 4. He was 13. You know, he got hit by a dumpster truck and right in front of my mom's house. So from there, I seen him die in my mom's arms. You know, so then he went to the hospital. You know, half his brain was dead, the other half was alive. Then he passed away 12 hours later. So he was 13 years old, I was 4. I feel like from that moment and on, that's when everything changed in my life. And, you know, every time I thought about him, you know, from 4 to maybe 12, 13, 14 years old, I always think about him when I'm taking a shower. I always start crying, you know, and things like I always look up at the sky and, you know, just think about him, you know, and just think like, man, if you were here and you see all the things that's going on now. So, you know, sometimes I get emotional about it, but sometimes it's like he's in a better place. I know he's in a better place and stuff like that. He was young, you know, he was an honorable student. You know, he went to Northeast Middle School, and then he went to Brockville as well. You know, so that was the start of how everything went in my life. And then maybe by the age, maybe 13, 14 years old, I was, you know, going through, you know, suicidal. I was going through depression, anxiety, you know, seeing bad things, hearing voices and stuff like that. So,
Like
you know, so I was, that process was tough. It was tough. It wasn't easy. Even when I was 14 to 22, it was probably one of my hardest years between that age gap. And mentally, you know, I was like confused. I didn't understand what was going on in my life. And I always say, like, you know, I also ask God, like, why am I going through so much? And then, you know, I didn't understand at the moment, you know. And when I went into the hospital, I went to the hospital for, you know, depression, anxiety and stuff like that for about 5 or 6 times from 14 to 23. So
when you say you went, what do you mean? Like you sought, so you seeked help? And like,
so I went to describe more of that, I went to Lehigh Valley Hospital, Muhlenberg, from age 14, and then I went there, I think last time was like 23, but then they transferred me because I guess they had so many people in the facility already. They didn't have enough room, so they transferred me to in Philly. I think it's called like Horsham Clinic or something like that. Yeah. So I was there at age 23.
And this is inpatient? Like you're staying the night?
Yeah.
Okay.
So from age 14, the first time I went, I was 14. It was in December. It was like a month after my birthday. I turned 14. And I was there, maybe a week and a half or 2 the first time. And, you know, doctors were, when you're asking me and stuff like that about like who I am, or like, I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. You know, I felt like I blacked out, and then all I remember is me waking up in the bed in the hospital. I'm thinking, where am I at? You know, and then I was like so confused, didn't know what was going on, and then they were explaining to me and stuff like that. Then the thing is that, you know, I seen other people that had somewhat what I was going through or worse. So that was the start. I was 14. That's the first time I was prescribed a medication to help me with anxiety, to help me with depression and stuff like that. Okay. So from 14, you know, to 23 was like the most like troubles I had in my life.
Yeah.
You know, so that was
Okay.
going through from 14 to 23 was like my toughest years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. So that's where a lot of these, what could be looked at as, unfortunate events, but also life changing, because I'm sure without some of these things occurring, you wouldn't be who you are today.
Exactly.
So okay, so from that age, just to kind of like a quick recap, that was that time in your life where things were maybe most troublesome and back and forth with
like it's crazy because I was in the world and then I got out the world and then I tried to find Jesus, and then it was like it was going back and forth. It was like because I didn't understand everything that was going on, and I was trying to like find my own happiness. But the thing is, I didn't have a relationship with Jesus yet, so I didn't understand, the whole relationship stuff and really, take up the cross daily and live for Him. So it was like, that's why I think I was going back and forth, and I believe that, once I really understood and my eyes were open, that's when I know it's okay. Like I know who I am now. So that's what made me realize, to move on into something, more better spiritually, mentally, physically, also emotionally as well. So
okay, all right. And you telling me that you went inpatient means that it got to a point where it was serious.
Yeah.
Because inpatient is a higher level of care than just regular therapy, where you see a therapist once a week or something like that.
Talking about that too, after I got out the hospital, sent me to Kids Peace for like a week or so to like, get my work back up and do things and, be with a group of kids that are going through similar things or going through stuff that's maybe worse than what I went through. So that happened, and I remember I was in and out of hospital from age 14, 23 about, I believe 5 or 6 times, and I was inpatient all the time. Then when I went at 23, I went to Horsham Clinic in Philly, and I was there for like a week, I believe, a week and a half or so.
Okay. Did you find any of those visits to some of these hospitals and clinics helpful at all?
Yes, I believe it helped me because one of the things I was confused about and I didn't understand what was happening in my life, we did like group activities with the whole group, and then we'll do like, we'll share something about ourselves, and then we'll do like coping skills and stuff like that, try to get us, together. But the thing is that when they put me on medication, I wasn't like, I was there, but I wasn't there because it was like, I was like, all drowsy. I didn't know like what was going on. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe they didn't have the correct dosage, or maybe not even the right medication at that time.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing too that can be kind of, tricky at times too, because when you're in some of these settings, they may prescribe medication, and the thing is though, like, it's not a quick fix. There's no like magic pill, so
exactly.
It certainly can take some time, and I know we can be impatient at times because we want things to to
just happen already,
to hurry up and get fixed, and we want to be better already. But just like with anything, there's some of these things it's just, it is what it is. They take some time, and that might not even be, speaking on medication, some of these medications might not even be the right one, and then it might be the right one, but then you're not on the right dosage, so it's just a lot of like.
And it's crazy that we talk about that, because the thing is that my medication was going up and down, like the dosage. So then it was like there was a moment in my life that I had so much that made me feel like I'm not where I'm at. So it made me feel like, man, I could be here, but then it's like my whole mind is like somewhere else, like on a whole different world. And then after maybe few years, then it like lowered it, and then they try to like balance it and realize. But I was taking this morning and night, as I could talk right now, I take that, but I don't take it in the morning because I don't need it. It's just for like, because the medication that I take is for like my anxiety and stuff, like to calm me down and stuff like that. So me having that, and I actually the dosage now is lower than it was when I was younger, so it's a lot lower. So that's the better of it. So
okay,
you know.
okay, all right, okay. And so as time is passing, I know we're getting closer to you having this relationship with God and it being that life-changing event.
Yeah.
What was, or if you can recall or remember, what was that one, that moment or that time period or event that really kind of like, I guess, helped you come over to the other side and see things different in speaking of you having this relationship with God? Like, do you remember the first like moment, or you know, because I know it's never just one moment. You know, you have like there's a lot of things. Yeah. So, but I guess, you know, like, you know, if you could explain, and if that makes it difficult, maybe just even then explain, I guess, a few moments where that helped you kind of like transition from, you know, this one part of your life to the next.
Okay, so I believe, but when I was like 14 and 23, I was in and out hospitals.
Yeah.
For the same thing, for mental health. It was but it wasn't like from 14 to 23 I went like every year or stuff like that. So like from 14 to like 18, it was maybe like 4 or 5, and then I was fine from 18 to like maybe 22, 23. Then I decided at 23, I decided to go to seek help. I believe when I was 14, I didn't decide it. I had to get help. So, but when I was 23, I believe that, you know, right there, that's when I known like more and more who I am, because God revealed so many things to me. But it was so, at the moment, it was so much to like take in, because it was like so much stuff was happening. So I was 23 at Horsham Clinic, and then, you know, but I went to go. It's not like someone told me, hey, you got to go to hospital because you're not doing well.
Okay.
You know, so I went because I volunteered to go.
Yeah.
So then that's what made me realize is that, you know, I need to go to like really step out there. And I didn't, the thing is, my mind was fine, but I went to like, because at the time, from maybe 20 to 22, I didn't have the medication. So I was like not on medication for those from 20 to 22. So I was on medication, but then it could go with, I had problems with my ex, and then like the fights kept going on, and like there was so much stuff going on. And my mom always just tell me, like, you need to get yourself right again, because it's like you were doing fine, but then you're going down because of certain situations that happen in your life, and you're not letting go, you know. So then at age 23, that's when I was like, it was January of 2017, the beginning of January, and you know, I volunteered to go because, you know, I know that I needed help, and I know that if I went, it'll, you know, help with my mental as well.
Okay.
But when I went, go ahead.
Can you tell me a little bit more about like what pushed you to go? You know, I know you said you had some people around you, your mom, that was kind of like saying, hey, like, you know, this is the way that you're living right now is
right.
So you know, she kind of pushed you, but then you also said that you yourself, you know, you, at the end of the day, I think, you know, no one can force you to you know,
do something that you don't want to do.
You need to want that change for yourself. So you kind of touched on that too, but what were some more of the reasons as to why, okay, this is, I need to make some kind of change in my life, and I need to, you know, maybe I need to get this help. I know you said that your relationship at that time was kind of rocky, but what else kind of was like, this is why I need to go?
I believe that, you know, it was January 2017, the beginning of the year, and I knew if I didn't go, I know I probably would end up either probably suicidal. I probably would have end up, you know, either homeless or in jail, one of them. So when at that time I was like, if I don't go, maybe, like, not maybe, I know I wouldn't be right. I know I wouldn't be good, because, you know, at the time I didn't have the right people around me, you know. And, you know, for instance, like you was there for me, like people was there for me, you know, but it was like so much that was going on that I was like, yo, like I just need to like step away and like get my mind right.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, I told my mom one day, my dad, and that at the time I was working at Aldi's. So we were working at Aldi's. That was 2016. I got hired at Aldi's around July, and then I got fired at January from the job. So I was there for like 6 months, and when that happened, I just felt like, oh, hell broke loose. I just felt like everything just went wrong at that.
That was like the last straw. Like,
I'm thinking like, man, like, I lost my job. Then I didn't have a job for months, and I had to get the help from my parents to help me, and I just felt like at age 23, that whole year, I wasn't ready to have a job yet because my mind wasn't there. My mind wasn't there to like really focus on, getting myself together. And I believe at 23, I just had to really do a lot of coping skills, pray, and find God. And that's when I believe July of 2017, that's when I met my pastor, and then that's when I started to see change. And I gave God, another like help, like not like help, but like to really go to him, because I know how my pastor was helping me. I could say a quick story, right? So I met him at a gym, right? I was 23.
When you say him, who's
Pastor Eugene? Eugene McDuffie.
Okay.
So he's my pastor. I know him for about 6.5, going on 7 years.
Okay.
So I met him at a gym, and he was telling like a story about a kid named Penny. So to wrap it up is that he was telling about a kid named Penny, but the whole time it was him that he was talking about, of his childhood, how he was molested at 9 years old by his own father, that he was on the streets of New York and he was homeless. So everything that he told me, that it made me think that he went through worse than I did, and I'm going through stuff, but he made it out. So that gave me, they gave me hope inside to like really, okay, like if he went through all this stuff, I know I could make it out as well. But it just took so much patience and so much time, because like I said, I was going back and forth into the world. Like, yes, I was like at 23, I was going to Jesus, and then it was like, then I fell off, and it was like so much pressure was happening. I felt like I couldn't like hold myself together. So it was just like a process and stuff. But the thing is that, that process of when I was at Horsham Clinic, even though I went there for help, I was even helping other patients over there. I was talking to them about Jesus. I was, directing them, praying for them and stuff like that. So, even though I could say this, even though you're in a bad situation or you feel like you're not where you want to be, God still can use you to talk to other people from things that you are going through, that you could help them out, saying like, hey, you're not by yourself. Like this process, you're not by yourself. And so I believe that, God was opening my eyes at 23, and I believe that I was seeing more and more in the spiritual, and seeing my life change little by little. Remember, I believe to see change is a process. You gotta trust the process. You really gotta really know that it's not you that's doing it, it's someone else, which a higher power. I believe God was like really working in me at 23. And we'll get in more. I know you got more questions about later in my years after 23, but I feel like that moment was like, I needed to get myself together, because if I didn't get myself together, it ends up I could have been in jail, could have been in the streets, or I could even be dead, because I was suicidal. It's crazy because my pastor called me, and it was the second day that I talked to him.
Okay.
And I had a knife in my room, and I was already about to commit suicide in my room, right? So I probably never talked to this to no one. This is you're probably the first person I told, besides, obviously my pastor, because, he was on the phone with me. But I was 23. I had a knife in my room, and the thing is like, I was so tired of life, because I was going through so much, and I felt like I couldn't handle it no more. So then I'm thinking in my head, if I do this, then I won't feel no more pain. I'll be out of this world. I'll be done. But God always has a plan, and that's when he called. My pastor called me, Pastor Eugene. He called me, and he was like, "You'll never be alone." And he said, take that knife out of your room. He knew I had the knife before I even told him. So he's like, you'll never be alone, and you're gonna make it out of this. Trust in God, and also let me help you. So he was probably one of the biggest reasons why I'm who I am today, because God brought him in my life for a reason at age 23. And that's when, you know, things got better and better. That was in July of 2017. Then, you know, more down the road, things got a lot better. I just had to be more patient. I had to know that, you know, having a relationship with Jesus is like having a relationship with your mom and your dad, you know. So like, you have to obey him, you have to obey your parents as well, do these things. And you know, I didn't have you know, the best experience, but you know, I'm still working towards a better me and stuff like that. So
okay, wow, that's amazing. You know, you never know who might be that person to step in. And you know, you're going this whole life, or not your whole life, but up until 23, you know, that whole period, you're probably like thinking to yourself as you're going through that, like, that nothing is going to change, and that this is, you know, like probably feeling hopeless and then kind of just like down, like nothing, you know, you're trying, but you're not seeing results, you're not seeing anything change. And the last thing you're thinking of, especially when you're in a moment like that, is like that someone's just gonna
just appear out of nowhere,
change your life, you know. But that in your story, that did happen, you know. And that just goes along to that point of you talking about like this patience and how that is, you know, so important in our lives, you know, because without patience, when it comes to completing goals and doing things, we wouldn't
even see that.
Because we want these things to happen so fast, and that's just not the way things work. You know what I mean? Like, especially, you know, those things that are, you know, challenging or whatever it may be, you need patience for it, because it's not an easy, quick,
like, it's not gonna happen overnight. It takes time, and people, that's the thing. When I was going through, like, before I went to sleep, I always had like anxiety attacks, so I couldn't go to sleep. Then I kept thinking about the future. I kept thinking like, maybe this is my last night and I'll probably die in my sleep or something. So like, so much went through my mind, and it was like, I had so much fear, you know. I just fear of like, maybe, you know, I'll die tonight. I always kept thinking about that when I was 23.
Wow.
So every time I went to sleep, or before I went to sleep, I was having like anxiety attacks and panic attacks, because, you know, I just felt my heart was going crazy, and it was like I couldn't go to sleep, and it was like, I kept thinking like, maybe this is my last night. Maybe I don't have a purpose no more. Remember, that's how the enemy works. He'll try to put fear in your life. He'll try to make you feel like you're worthless, that you have nothing going for yourself. You know, going through that phase, it took me maybe from 23. It took some time. It didn't happen overnight. It probably took maybe a year and a half or so to like really, you know, going through the process. Like each day as I was with my pastor and stuff, I was spending time with him and really getting the word inside me. You know, like he'll send me, you know, read the Bible and like tell me what it's saying to you. Like, for instance, he wants me to read John. He said, read John chapter 1, and I have to read that, tell him what it's saying and what does it mean, that like what I read about and stuff like that. So, you know, me getting the word inside me, that was helping more and more each day as well. And, you know, obviously, you know, going to church and, you know, looking for God more and more. But remember, I had a lot of people I knew, like I was really cool with. But, you know, once I gave my life to Christ and they seen that I was giving my life to God and stuff like that, I lost a lot of friends. You know, I lost a lot of friends, and that is gonna happen when you follow Jesus. Because remember, a lot of people, maybe they don't want to have a relationship with Jesus or even go to church or anything like that, because, you know, they don't probably believe in him, because so many things happen to them in their life. But I believe that, you know, when you go through something, you know, God will give you, you know, you're gonna have faith. You know, you gotta have faith, gotta have that trust and stuff like that. And some people, they're not gonna understand and thinking, all right, if God is so good, why do so many bad things happen? And I believe sometimes bad things happen to us because God wants our attention. He wants us to know that He's there for us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't understand that. Sometimes that, people, that's why they fall away from God or they fall away from Jesus. Because why? Because they see that so many things happen to them and they think like, all right, then if this is happening, then why? There's probably not a God then.
Yeah.
But I believe that when everything was happening, I turned to God right away. Even though that it was hard. It was hard for me because I was getting attacked every single day mentally. And the thing is that if I didn't look for God, I believe I wouldn't be here today. I believe that I probably would have been, in hell probably, because if I would commit suicide, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't be with Jesus. I probably would have been in hell and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
that's what made me realize that if I didn't get my life together starting at 23, now it'll be 7 years this January, this next month coming up will be 7 years since of what everything went with me, everything that happened. So
wow. And one thing I commend you for is being able to be honest with yourself and be honest with those people closest to you, because without that honesty, it's difficult to try and make change in your life, because no one knows ourselves better than ourselves. You know what I mean? So people, even those people closest around you, they can see you for who you are and how you carry and go about yourself, which goes to explain a big part of your character. But there's a point where, and this is for everyone and anyone, you can only know so much about a person, and with that said, if you have a person who's really going through something, you know what I mean, they can do a really good job of hiding it, masking it, covering it up. So I commend you for being brave and courageous enough to come forward and open up to these people, including this person, this your pastor Eugene, because if that did not happen, imagine if you were, maybe that first day you met him, or at the gym, maybe you were at that moment, you were still going through it, but you were at the gym because hey, all right, I gotta do something with all this, all this stuff on my mind, so this is what I'm doing. But let's just say in that moment, the pain was so unbearable that you were like, I'm not even gonna waste my time with this person, or give them the moment the opportunity to talk, or to give me some advice, because maybe I've been through it all this time already. I've talked to so many people. It's the same thing, blah 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 blah. And then let's just say that was your mentality, and so from that point you just block that person off because of these past events. And none of this would come to fruition because you didn't allow that opportunity to come about, but you did. And I think that's a message to everyone of being honest with yourself and others about what's really going on and how you feel and what's really going on in your mind, because without that, then you can only help yourself so much.
And one thing was that what really gave me to give God a chance, because I always kept doubting God around when I was 23, because so many things was happening. But when my pastor came to the house, in my house there's all pictures of the family and stuff like that. So he was looking at all the pictures, walking around looking at all the pictures, and then he stopped at one picture, and it was my brother that passed away. Bro, I never talked to him about my family, never talked to him about nothing. He went to the picture and he said, this picture right here, this is your brother Raymond. I didn't say his name, I didn't say nothing at all. He was like, is this your brother Raymond? And I want to let you know that he's in heaven. God told me to tell you that he's happy and that he's proud of you. Bro, I started crying and crying. There's no way That's when you know God is real. 'Cause there's no way that he could know this information if I didn't tell him nothing. You know, this is the second day that I talked to him. I never told him nothing about my family, nothing.
Yeah.
So then that's what gave me the hope that there is a God. So that's what fueled me to like really, okay, now I understand that there is a God and that there's hope now. From just that one moment, him looking at all the pictures, and then when he stopped at one picture, he looked at it and he was like, this picture. And then I kept thinking, I'm like, why he stop at this picture? There's a reason. But when he stopped at it, he's like, is this your brother Raymond?
Yeah.
And I didn't even say his name to him or nothing like that. Once he said that, bro, like I started crying. Like I just started tearing up and crying and letting everything out. And then he was like, your brother wants you to know that he's proud of you and that he's okay. And I was like, wow. From there, that was what, July. From July of 2017.
Yeah.
That's when I knew, okay, let me give God a chance and let me get myself together, because now I know there is a real God. You know, because remember, there's a lot of people that worship other gods that they think that they're the one. You know, but I believe that a lot of people bash Christians and Jesus. Why? Because he's the only one that resurrected and came back 3 days later from the grave. And look at this, people believe in Buddha, Muslims, all types of stuff. But did they come back from the dead? Did they come back and, you know, resurrected and stuff like that? So that's what really made me follow Jesus.
Okay.
You know, that's what made me. And the thing is, I don't like to bash anybody's religion because that's their own beliefs. But that's just me personally. That's what made me realize, okay, God is real. And that's what made me realize, okay, like if my pastor's really saying this, it's for a reason. When he said that, that's what gave me hope to keep going.
Okay. All right. And when we start looking at like change and like you know, change in our lives, they follow like it's what's called, well, the stages of change is what you can kind of look at change in like these different steps. You know what I mean? So this point now in your life, it seems as if like, so once, you know, your life kind of turned and you started seeing your life in a new light, you start dabbling in that stage of what's known as maintenance. Okay. And I'm sure that even after that point, and of course this is with anyone and everyone, with something that they try to, or something that they make change in, you know, it doesn't stop there. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, you finally, or you maybe reach that point where it's like, okay, all right, wow, things are changing for the better, the good, this feels great, you know? But it doesn't stop there, because like, and it kind of goes back, as I said, with this, call it the stages of change. You're now in this maintenance stage. So what you do there in this change is you try to sustain the change. Okay. So, and that's kind of, I guess, what I'm gonna focus now on from this point in your life till now. Like, okay, like now that you're in this maintenance stage of your life, you're sustaining the change. Now in this stage of change, this is the stage you want to be in. You know, this is the last and final stage. But despite being in this stage, what still happens, because of the fact we're human, you still have lapses, meaning you have these setbacks. You have things still happen, even though you know, and I'm sure from that point 23 till now, I'm sure there's stuff that's happened in your life that maybe been a setback. And when I mean a setback, I don't mean like we're back to square one.
Exactly.
You're still in the maintenance stage, which is, but you know, you have setbacks. Things happen. Things happen out of your control. You know, and that's okay. You know, some people think that, you know, when they happen, like, oh man, like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? What's going on? I thought this was the way, but why? But it's inevitable, meaning like it's bound to happen, and that's okay. You can still be in the maintenance stage and have, like, you know, we make mistakes. You know what I mean? And
it's part of the process.
It's part of the process. It's part of life. It's part of the journey. So, from that point where you kind of had this major change until now, I want to, as I said, I wanted to talk about sustaining the change. So
You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it.